everybody. Welcome to another episode of Blue Blood on the Mainline. I'm your host, Curtis Sumter, and I'll be joined today by Jeff Goodman, one of the founders of the Field of 68. What's up, Jeff? How you doing?
Kurt, always good to be with you, my man. Anytime I can see your face, I smile. With our relationship and our background and what you're doing with this, again, there aren't many people that I would rather spend time with talking any sort of basketball than you.
Thanks, Jeff. Man, I appreciate that. Likewise, it's always a pleasure. It's been a while since we spoke, but it's just like yesterday. Just easy going. So I'm glad that we got this opportunity. And again, thanks again for this opportunity to host the show.
Just like yesterday, other than the fact of all the gray hair I have now. Back when you met me, there was none of that, and I still attribute it to being the father of a teenage girl who's now a freshman in college. So I blame it on her.
I'm sure, man. I have a younger sister, no kids, but she's brought on a few gray hairs, I must say. Girls are not easy. You love them differently. You love them harder. That's for sure.
Protect them. You try to protect them, right?
You love them a lot
as an
harder.
older brother,
that's for sure.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yes. So totally get it. Like I said, when we first, got together, she was very, very young, and now, like you said, she's a freshman in college. So time flies.
Yep.
Damn, it was just yesterday. Just yesterday, we were just, making those calls at night, talking about where I want to go to school and what do we think about the future. So it's just always great to catch up again.
Likewise.
But I wanted to have you on the show because I know you're checking out everybody, and I know this year is kind of different than most. One of the reasons is that Villanova is accustomed to being in that top 25, and they just have not done it preseason wise, nor at the start of the season. And I mean, for obvious reasons, we know injuries, teams young. We can say the new coaching. But as we know, Villanova, the program has pretty much remained the same, intact, the foundation, the culture. So it's really not that much instability when it comes to that. What would you pretty much, attribute to this year just being like just different in college basketball? Like Iowa State is up there. Like a lot of different teams are now, taking over. What would you say to that?
Well, it's true. I mean, as a Villanova guy, right? Sometimes Villanova fans are in their own kind of cocoon, right? And they're just looking at what's wrong, like the sky is falling. Well, listen, Kentucky's struggling. They're in danger of not making the tournament. Carolina's struggling. They're preseason number one.
Exactly.
Duke's struggling. Indiana's struggling. A lot of these real blue bloods are struggling, and these programs that have a lot more NIL. There's been a lot of change at Villanova, right? Obviously, with the head coach, number one. Number two, you had a freshman that wasn't ready to start the season in Cam Whitmore, and he's been pretty good since he came back. But when you're out before your freshman year in the preseason, that's really hard. That's the most important time. You can miss time, like you missed time when you were hurt. Whether it's between your sophomore, junior year, junior, senior year, you already know everything. Class schedule, you got your friends all set, academics, basketball, all that. Cam Whitmore is just trying to figure out everything, and he's hurt. So it's going to be, it's hard for him to come back. And obviously without Justin Moore, you're talking about playing a guy in Chris Arcidiacono major minutes when realistically he was brought in and should be playing, 8-10 minutes a game maybe. And instead he's playing 30 plus. That's a big difference at the point guard spot. So I think if everything, if they had Whitmore healthy and had Justin Moore healthy, I think you're looking at this team, being a top 25, maybe even a top 10 team. But you take away arguably, your best player and a veteran, and then, a lottery pick and Whitmore to start the year. And I was there in Portland when they went 0-3. And it was hard to watch again, but you understand what Kyle Neptune's dealing with taking over was not easy.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I've been trying to just, tell people. Um, we just started the season off just not the way we're accustomed to starting the season off, and it wasn't so much how we played, it's just that we just weren't healthy. We didn't have our pieces in line to go out there, on a nightly basis and perform well. We did the best we could with what we had. We asked people to do things normally that we wouldn't ask, and they did a great job doing the best that they could. And we were like a 500 team, as you can see, and that's being undermanned. And then now with the new injury with Jordan or Gino, this is just one of those seasons where it just seems
Point
like
guard play. Listen, point guard play is
it's
everything
over.
for Ricard.
Mhm.
Everything. You cannot win without a high level. And I hate to do this because like Ryan Arcidiacono might be like, I love him, like love him.
An
So I
anomaly, right?
hate saying anything that could be perceived as negative about any Arcidiacono, right?
Right,
But
right.
let's face it, like Chris, this isn't the role that's meant for him at Villanova. Like if he played 30 minutes a game at LaSalle, I would say fine, but not at Villanova for a team that you're expecting to contend for NCAA tournament Final Fours. Again, don't you agree? Like the best role for him, playing a few minutes off the bench, and that's really what he should be right now if Justin Moore was healthy.
I totally, totally, totally agree. The thing with our program, like Chris brings such a like within our program, there's certain things that you just want a guy to have a little bit. He brings those.
Yes.
But like you said, for 35, for consecutive minutes, 10, 12 consecutive, like at the time, it just might not be the right fit. But if it's, 3 minutes here, 4 minutes here, sprinkling that way, like I totally get, you almost like a specialist.
Right.
You put him
Right.
in and it's hard to actually get a rhythm as a specialist, but Chris has excelled in that role.
Yep.
I think that if we were, healthy, I think he would excel even more in that role because he's always shined in that particular role. He can come in there and go balls to the wall
Yep.
for 3 straight minutes. And then, he'll get that open extra shot in the corner, that extra off the extra pass. He'll do those things. But as a leader, I see him trying to lead and run the team and do certain things. Whereas before in the past, he was a finisher in a sense, and we need him to be still somewhat of a finisher. He would get that pass off of a double team and things of that nature, where he can be
He's got
aggressive
to
and
be a weapon. He's got to be a threat offensively. Like
sure,
it's hard to
definitely.
play 4-on-5. You know that. And when
Hmm.
teams go under every ball screen and they don't
Hmm.
respect you as
Hmm.
an offensive player. And listen, if you had Justin Moore out there next to him and Caleb next to him, and then you got Dixon, but like you're missing another dude. Like Whitmore isn't that yet. He's not that. And Slater, listen, I'm like the president of the Brandon Slater fan club, but he's not he's more of a complementary piece offensively.
Hmm.
He's not going to
Hmm.
be a guy that you give the ball to and just say,
Hmm.
go get a bucket. Brandon
Hmm.
Slater is the ultimate, defensive, like he'll get after you. He does everything you want him to do. The only thing I wish Brandon had is a little more selfishness,
Hmm.
where he
Hmm.
wanted to just be a guy offensively. We saw it a little bit a year ago at the beginning of the season.
Right.
Then he got
For sure.
hurt, and we've never really seen it
Hmm.
again. Again, I think he can be an NBA player, Kurt. I still believe that in my mind.
I definitely believe he has all the tools. And it just becomes again just with being again just a little bit more assertive. Um, just want to do things the right way. I can see that with Brandon, and sometimes you gotta just play off of instinct. It's like he sees it, but sometimes he might be a little hesitant, and that's where that you see that, and and that's where we just have we have to get better. Like even with Chris, like you said, he has to be a little bit more aggressive offensively. As you know, traditionally, our offense, we've always had a point guard who had to be aggressive. Uh, Coming off that first initial ball screen because it just makes the defense just guard the rest of the team differently. And if you're coming off the pass every time and not being aggressive, then it forces the team to play differently. And like we all know, we're not worried if Chris can make that shot. Like I know Chris can make that shot. It's just not his game.
So
You know what I mean? And then it's in
yeah,
his head. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. Like I trust me, that ball gets one. Chris is probably one of the top three people on the team. I'm like, if he get a shot over, I'm like, shoot it because I know he
shoot
can
it.
knock it down.
And if you don't
Um,
shoot it, Kurt, if you don't shoot it,
yeah,
it hurts your team more. It's like Ben
yes,
Simmons, right? Like I'm
hmm
talking Philly right now, because
correct.
obviously, Ben Simmons was in Philly for a while, and Sixers fans were so frustrated with him. It's like you just got to shoot the ball, even if you
hmm
don't make it.
hmm
Even if you don't make it, you've got to be a threat to shoot it every time you're
hmm
coming up and you're wide open,
hmm
because that's the best thing for the team. But I think
hmm
Chris is um, so worried about just being a consummate point guard
hmm
and getting everybody the ball and making sure everybody's happy.
Right.
And I love that about him. I do. I love that about him. But that's not what this team needs.
It's not what this team needs. And as a leader, and again, it's something that comes from within. And I think I hope he's not, if there's anything, we're just all speculating, like worrying about what the team thinks. Because I think the way the program and the culture is, the team is not worried. Like the team wants him to do well, wants everyone to do well. Guys won't be mad if he takes 15, 20 shots a game,
Try
because
it.
that's just how we play.
Yeah.
If it's there, we know like the
Yes.
shot's there, you gotta shoot it. I just I think he'll get better at that. It's just it's a new role for him.
Well,
It's a new
hey,
role for him.
Kurt, you're going from his brother to
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson to Colin Gillespie. I mean, like the drop off there and the standard at that position in the program has been so ridiculous over the last decade since his brother really got there, and
Mhm.
before that even. When you were there, obviously, Kyle, there was a little
Yeah,
bit of a gap.
Cal. I think Malik Wayne's was pretty good after Cal Scotty, Malik
Yep.
Wayne's,
Yep. I mean,
Fisher.
you've
They've
had some
always had
great
some.
ones,
They had
some
some great
great
ones. He
ones.
broke with some great
So
ones
it's
in there.
almost unfair to Chris in a way. And I think if
Yeah.
Chris had four pros around him, that's
Mhm.
fine. If he
Mhm.
had four pros around him where you're like, you know what? You got Whitmore, you got Justin, even Slater
Mhm.
as your fourth offensive option would be
Mhm.
fine. And then Dixon, right? If you had that lineup, I think, Daniels, Moore, Archie, Slater, Dixon, Whitmore, whatever. That's six guys I know.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but if you put him with four of those dudes, and maybe Slater even came off the bench in that scenario,
Right.
you'd
Yep.
be like, all right, we can carry Chris in the fact that he's not looking for his own offensively. I think they'd still be pretty good. But I still think ultimately to go to a Final Four, you have to have a high, at least one. And a lot of college teams over the last 10 years have had multiple high level point guards. Like most have had two on their team.
And this thing's very important for Mark to grow up this year. Mark's gonna, I
Yes.
mean, with these minutes early on, putting in the fire. I like the way he's become more and more aggressive. I see him
Yep.
getting better game by game, more confident. He's gonna help Chris out, I believe. Um, because he's gonna create and draw, and that's gonna leave, Chris opportunities to, get his rhythm and find his spots and make his shots, and play the game where he's most comfortable. Because we know what he's gonna give us. We know he's gonna defend his ass off. We know he's gonna try to rebound and
Yep.
do all the things to get us as many possessions, take care of the ball, make the extra pass. But it would be good to see, someone be creating for him so he can finish and get going, because I think it would just help with his confidence, help the team even more. And that way he could just come in there and then I think he'll naturally just be more aggressive off it. But I think that's where one of the things that we're falling short right now is just his aggressiveness, Slater's aggressiveness
Yep.
um, at times.
And Armstrong
We
isn't
see it from
ready. Like I thought when I was in Portland, the one thing I said was like, all right, if I'm Kyle, I just give Armstrong 30 minutes. And you know what? Like he's going to make his mistakes, but like maybe by, mid-January, he's much better. And I still wonder whether that would have been the right thing to do, but my guess is Kyle knew he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. If he thought he would help him win. I always say this, like, coaches aren't trying to lose games. They're putting their best lineup out to win games. Now, there might be some kids, and this generally isn't the case at Villanova, but like at some places where the kid's talented enough, but they're not bought in, right? And then you're saying, okay, like, you may question that you don't know all the information from outside of what's going on. But in this case, that's not valid. In this case, I think it's simply that Kyle felt like, you know what, Chris gives us the best opportunity to win now, and I want to win games now.
No, it's totally, you know, I guess you might see it as like, you know, football. You know, they draft that high pick, and you're like, this guy should be playing out, and say, hey, we're just gonna let this other guy started, and he's kind of, you know, figure it out. We got him surrounded by some other good play. You know, let's just kind of bring you in slowly.
Yep.
And then, you know, as you slowly start to see your minutes will increase. You know, but let's, you know, not start out with you just solely just out there, because again, mistakes, things like, you know, you want the temperament of the team to start off good. You know, granted,
the confidence of Mark Armstrong too, Kurt, right? Like,
coming
you
off
throw
the
him
bench,
out there and he's not ready.
Yeah,
that could be it. You've seen guys, I assume you've played with guys that at times like they're not ready, right? Whether it's you played with them at Villanova, you played with them playing pro ball, guys that like you just force feed minutes to before they're ready. And I don't know, some guys don't come back from that.
No, they absolutely don't. The game is too fast. The game is too this. Like you know, I guess that's probably was me. Coach probably, you know, right. I thought myself, he said, you're not ready, you know, and I was like, well, I am ready. You think you're ready, but there's certain things that a coach, like you said, feels like you might bring so many other good things to the table, but we might have the best chance to win, you know, playing this way right now until we get you understanding what it is, so that way you can utilize your gifts. So right now, some of your gifts that might be a detriment right now to us, you know, if you don't know how to do it. So, but so we got in the top 25. So we lost to UConn, Iowa State.
Yep.
We lost to Marquette, who's now in there. And then I think we got problems coming up in a little while. But any other biggest thing? What do you think about Xavier?
Xavier's been good, man. Like, that's the
Xavier.
one that actually I might, if you told me right now, put your money on Xavier or UConn, it's a tough one for me. It's a tough one.
For me too. I mean, I watched obviously both our games against them, and I was like, I was like, damn. I was like, I
They're
might be
old.
with Xavier, because Xavier just seemed a little bit more skilled and all around game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But UConn just
They're
has
old, Kurt.
a
Kurt, you know what they
toughness,
got?
roughness. Yeah.
You know what they got? Here's what Xavier has that UConn doesn't. They have two guys who you can put the ball, Kobe Jones and the kid Sule Boone, right? The transfer from UConn.
Yeah, that's good.
You can give either one of them the ball. So run the team, make a play. They can score from all three levels. They can get in the paint. They can make a play for others too. How many teams like UConn? I don't know if they have anybody who can do that. Like, Jordan Hawkins is talented. He's not there yet, and he's just like a scoring wing, right? Like, they don't really have a point guard UConn that can create for others, which scares me. You got two of them at Xavier that are old, right? Both are kind of old veterans. You got two bigs, right? Two bigs that are old,
big, yeah.
right? That are tough. Fremantle's playing out of his ass right now. I mean, he's playing great basketball right now. You know, you've got a coach who can coach in Sean Miller.
Yeah.
Really, really good coach. So I don't know. And they got depth. They've got, and it took a little while for Xavier, because again, you have a new coach, new system. The other part is the old coach at Xavier, Travis Steele, was more of like a good guy, more of like the head coach who just kind of, you know, like came in, he was assistant for years, and just like kind of, you know, not a guy who's going to jump kids. Where Sean Miller will jump them. He'll jump them when he needs to jump them. And I think that's what this team needed because they haven't been in the tournament in 4 years. A lot of these
Right.
kids.
He just watching that game and watching them, like you said, like their team plays with poise that, I feel like I'm only used to seeing Villanova play with.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Like I feel like every time I watch Villanova, regardless whether they're losing, even now, our teams always just play with a different level of poise. That team just had a different level of poise.
Yep.
Virginia is a team I feel like plays that way. Certain teams you see, they just play at their own pace, their own temperament. Well coached teams. Like a lot of it too, like you said, guys who've been through the system, know it in and out. Um, and they were scary. I watched them. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
they're
No, they're
really,
good.
really, really good. And I was like,
Providence
I
has
don't
been
know
good
this year.
too, Kurt.
This year is gonna be.
Well, I mean, right now you're talking like if Villanova can finish to me in the top 5 in the Big East.
Yeah, I hope we get 5. I hope
That's
we
what
get
it
at least the
is.
5.
I mean,
Yeah,
right now it's like, can you get in the top half of the Big East? Because if
yeah,
you get the top half, maybe you have a shot. You probably need to go deep in the Big East tournament to get in the
right. Make it
NCAA
12.
tournament. I mean, obviously 8-8 is not going to do it, which is what you are as we're recording, and 2-3 in the league. You're going to have to go on a run here in the league. But again, like to me, listen, it's going to be a down year by Villanova standards, right? We know that at this point, but it's not going to be like 2012, right? When they were 13 and 19, and I can never forget the conversation I had with Jay at the Garden that year, and just how frustrated he was because I think he felt like the culture that was the thing that struck me more than anything. It wasn't like the losses so much. It was he felt like he let the Villanova culture get away that year.
That's the year I believe I came back, or the year before I worked the staff, and that's what one of the things when I got there, he was saying. He was like, I got to get us back. I'm like, Coach, what are you talking about? Like we're good. Like
Yeah.
we in 20. So he was like, it's just now it's something that I just I got to get
I think
the
Malik.
right people. He said, I gotta get the culture back. I gotta get the culture back. And my first year, there was Arch's first year when he said, I want to like redo everything
Yes.
and
Yes.
and he was like, I want you to be like the player development. I mean, not player, what do you call it?
Working with all the players. Right.
Yeah, just kind of like building that bridge, letting them
Yep.
know
Yep.
what it is,
Yep.
because I told him, I was like, Coach, you're a little soft when I got back. I was like,
What
I don't
happened?
think it was maybe 8 years or 7 years. I was going 8 years. I was like, dude, like, what happened, man? And he was like, I know, I know. And then he got back to his old stuff,
Have you ever
and
asked Malik? Have you? I've wanted to talk to Malik about this for a while, and I think I even asked him about it at a point. But him leaving early and everything like that, and you know, the regrets he probably. I don't know if
I'm
he's
sure he
talked
probably
openly.
did. Um, I'm sure he probably did. Um, in hindsight,
Yeah.
um, because he just would have had a better opportunity to come back another year and
Yes.
dominate. He was
Yep.
so good,
Yep.
and it just gave him a better chance to get a better draft position. And then the team would have just done better. I mean, the team fell short that year after he played well. It would have just been better for him, I
And to
believe.
leave
But
early, right? 13 and 19, and he and Cheek both left early, right after that year.
yeah, yeah.
And it was like, how do you leave early after winning 13 games? Like that's always my take on a lot of these guys. Now, again, if you're Ben Simmons, I get it. You're going to be a top pick no matter what your
Mhm.
team does. Markel Fultz didn't do well at Washington his 1 year. That's different. But you're talking about guys in Malik and Cheek that weren't on the board.
So and more so Cheek than Malik, because Malik was at least leading the Big East in scoring or doing
Right.
something like
Yes.
something to the
Yes.
fact of like people knew, okay, Malik Wayne's,
Yep.
but I just was
Yeah.
total shock when I saw the whole Dominique Cheek thing. Malik Wayne's, I was like, okay, I guess
Yeah.
I can understand it because he's still
Is he
good.
going
I
to
guess
improve
I
his
just don't
spot?
think the team
Right.
did well,
Right.
but I don't
Right. He's
know. I
not
guess
going
he's
to
just going for
grow.
yeah.
Malik wasn't going to grow all of a sudden for his senior year. He probably would have had the same draft stock no matter what, right? Even if he had come back.
Right.
But
Like
you
Malik,
prove you
Malik
can
needed the
win.
other team to get better, the other players to get better for him to
Right.
come back his senior year for his stock to probably improve. He needed
Right.
the other guys to improve
Yes. Yes.
because he was
100%.
really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's I mean that's just like
Guys are young. Guys are
guys are
young.
young.
Yes.
Guys are young.
They're listening to the wrong people sometimes, right? They're looking at these stupid mock drafts that I do and other people do, and they think they're real, right?
right.
Like I remember talking to who the hell was it? It was oh geez. Name's escaping me now. The big kid at Pitt. Oh man, what is his name now? It's escaping
Chris
me.
Taft.
Huh?
Chris Taft.
Yeah. Chris Taft. Yes. He admitted to me. He literally said, he's like, I screwed up. I was looking at the damn mock drafts, and that's a big reason why I left. Chris Taft. Yes.
Chris Taft should have not left.
Right.
Chris Taft. Oh man.
He had
Chris
talent,
Taft.
man.
Talent.
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 But again, you don't know who to trust when you're coming out, right? You don't want to listen to the coaching staff because normally the coaching staff's going to try to get you to come back. I mean, listen, Rick Barnes.
That's their job. That's your
Yes.
mentality. You're taking it as it is. So it's like it's always going to be a fight when it comes to that. It's
Rick
always going
Barnes
to be.
tried to get KD to come back for a minute. He did. Rick Barnes literally, after his freshman year, tried to get Kevin Durant to come back. Like that says it all.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And again, you have to have you gotta like you say you gotta have good people around you
Yes.
can tell you the truth.
Yep.
And you gotta have some real insight, some real insight. You just can't have people on the street or you said mock drafts. No, you gotta know someone in the NBA, who's telling someone directly, like, yeah, this kid is on the radar. And it takes a lot of luck too. It takes a lot of luck.
Yep.
I mean, at the end of the day, Malik still had some good opportunities playing some teams, got signed, just injuries caught up with him. It wasn't the road, he would like to take. Maybe some more guaranteed money would have been great.
Yep.
But he's doing good. He's doing good now. Speaking of shout out to Malik Wayne,
yeah.
He's coaching now at Camden High School.
Yep.
And he's got one of the next best greats. I mean, he should have got him to commit to Villanova. I don't know how he didn't get that job done. Damn, but it's all good.
I don't know
He'll
if they
be
had
another
a chance.
Wildcat.
I don't think NIL was enough there for DJ Wagner.
And this is another thing, Jeff. Like this is I had Priya Roy on the show last week, and we talked NIL, and he explained and told me so many different things, and kind of painted a better picture. And it's like, in your opinion, like why or do you think Villanova can compete when it comes to NIL? Do you think some of these blue bloods can compete when it comes to NIL?
I think it's going to be awfully difficult to compete with, again, if you're competing for a player with Texas Tech or Texas or Alabama or Auburn or Arkansas, which Villanova generally isn't. That's the only good thing with Villanova, right? Generally, you guys have your kind of backyard that you protect, right? Which is kind of Virginia up almost, I would say.
Yeah, Virginia down, yeah.
Yeah.
Virginia up, Virginia up. I'm sorry, Virginia up, yeah.
Yeah, like Virginia up. I mean, for the most part, you look around, and most of those programs that you're fighting with for those kids, Maryland, UConn, occasionally like the Dukes and Carolinas will come in.
Syracuse, maybe,
right.
Carolina might.
Yeah, I think you can compete with most of them until, again, Duke's got NIL, Carolina's got NIL. Like those schools come in, Kentucky, Kansas, you're in trouble. But for everybody else, I still think you're going to have a chance. It's just so hard now because I don't think you have to be a great recruiter anymore. I think the two things that kids are sold on these days are, and this is what gives, I've always been a really critical of NBA guys coming over and coaching in college. I've said, like, generally they're not good because they don't have the work ethic. They don't understand what it's like to have to be on the phone all day, all night.
Ball game, right? It's different.
Right?
I agree.
Like Patrick Ewing has $100 million in the bank. Like he's not going to sit there all day and all night working. He's not. Chris Mullen was terrible at St. John's for some of the same reasons.
It's just a different mindset. Like they have that NBA mentality. Like, you let the kids, you let like it's all up to the kid. But no, they're kids. You have to, like a parent, make them and show them why this is important and be on their butts. Like you just can't say, "Oh, it's up to you." You don't do it. You're not, because I know. No, you have to. I'm gonna show you what it is. You're gonna do it. I'm gonna make you do it. If you don't do it, you're gonna get out of here. Like that's just what it is. You gotta have that mentality. Like you're here. It's not just because I had a successful career. You can just take my word for it. This is what you gotta do. I'm implementing everything so that you're doing it. And you know what I mean? Like you're doing it on a day, and I'm gonna hold you
You're
accountable
not, yeah.
to it.
The only thing I'll say is like, and I still think maybe the Penny Hardaways and Juwan Howards, the bonus of these schools now, Indiana, Mike Woodson, they've all got NIL and they can sell the NBA. And those are the two things the kids want these days, right? Like, so I think they're all going to get talent. I don't think the Penny Hardaways, the Mike Woodsons, the Juwan Howards are going to lack for talent. But again,
what about Stackhouse and Vandy? You think he might have a son of Vandy's not a good? All right.
No, it was.
Gotcha.
I didn't like that hire at all. I mean,
Gotcha.
they haven't done anything. That's what I'm saying. You go down the list. I mean, Mark Price was hired at Charlotte years ago. He was terrible. Clyde Drexler Isaiah Thomas at FIU was
Aaron McKee, Temple.
He's struggling. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the best one, Fred Hoiberg right now has been terrible in Nebraska. He was good at Iowa State. Yeah. You can't give me, I don't think you can give me a slam dunk guy who's killed it, a former NBA player. Now, a former NBA coach you can, but it's not the same. Like Eric Musselman coached, he grew up coaching in the NBA and he's now in college. But his deal was different. He didn't play in the league. Like to me, it's more about the guys who played in the league, not coached in.
Yeah, I just don't think, like you said, that success is just different. Like you said, it's a different mindset. It's a different hustle that you just don't. You really don't see guys really have that success. I mean, we can say the reason probably why Larry Brown is such a good coach because he had that success in college first. That hustle, that took it to the NBA.
Exactly.
Came back. Maybe the game changed on him a little bit, but he still had a little success at SMU early on. Got some good recruits. It's just
he just didn't.
So I totally see.
Hey, Kurt, he just didn't care about the rules. The rule book didn't matter to Larry Brown.
Oh, we forgot about Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino is probably Rick Pitino.
He went college, then
college
NBA
first.
back.
Right, college first, right.
College NBA. Remember, he failed in the NBA. Came back.
So that's what I want to see back on the main stage.
Here's my big question. You're going the other way, like Rick Pitino did. Jay Wright, how good would he be in the NBA?
I think Jay Wright would be good in the NBA with the right staff around him because he's good at managing personalities. I think he can communicate with the players well and get on the same page with them as far as because I feel like at that next level from my experience, it's hard sometimes to get through the guys who are making $15-20 million about certain nuances of the game that they've been taught their whole life that they know is right, but now they might want to battle you on it, right? So having that dialogue,
that'll frustrate you.
Yeah, you do the 20 now, but having that dialogue, being able to meet in the middle, come to that ground, and I think he would be good. But also, I think a part of coaching the NBA again is having the support behind you. Like coaching is hard in the NBA. You got to have the GM. You got to have the owners. You got to have everybody supporting you because this is a player-driven league.
You know who Jay's first hire will be if he does take an NBA job?
Let me see if I can guess.
This is easy.
Let's see who I could probably guess Coach Wright first.
You're
Uh,
overthinking this. You're overthinking this.
I'm overthinking it. Who would it be?
BG.
Brett Gutted? Oh, he would definitely put Brett on. Brett just from a trust, someone who knows the league, and that's the thing. When you get these stats, you need somebody who just understands the league and
That's right.
also wants you to win. Like that's the whole thing about that business. It's not about how hard you work. It's about having people that believe in you, that want to help you succeed, that want to believe in it. It takes all those things because you can work your butt off and do everything right and still win. But if nobody else wants you to win and do it,
Right.
then
Right. If
yeah.
they're not playing
So
hard for you and they're not with you, forget about it. Forget about it. So I just
forget
think
about
Jay, maybe I'm crazy here. I don't think we've seen the last of Jay Wright coaching. And I don't think he can come back. Somebody asked me the other day. They're like, well, what about coming back to, if Kentucky opened up, right? If Calipari goes to Texas or something.
it.
I said, I don't think Jay Wright coaches again in college. I don't.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he's got just like Brad Stevens at Butler. They're similar. Okay. Those guys have too much respect for those places to come back somewhere else in college. But I do think Jay Wright, it would be easier for him for an NBA job. He wouldn't feel guilty going to take an NBA job in a year if it's the Sixers or the Spurs. And those are probably the two most likely scenarios, right? I mean, the Sixers, if something happened with Doc Rivers, the Spurs, Pop's going to go at some point. He's not going to keep getting his head bashed in here with a young team. And obviously, the connection in Philly. Jay's kids are older now, so it's a little bit different. And he wouldn't have to deal with the recruiting disaster right now, the transfer portal and NIL. It's, hey, this is what it's coaching. All it is coaching. You don't, Jay, like I remember talking to Brad early on with the Celtics, and he said to me, he goes, the biggest difference is on my way home from practice now, nobody calls me. I'm looking at my phone and it's not ringing. And I almost like want to call somebody. I'm bored. I got nobody calling me anymore. I don't have to make recruiting calls, anything like that. And I think he loves that part of it. Now, again, he's a GM now, so he's got even more autonomy to be able to spend with his family. But I think it's different. Brad's got younger kids. Jay's now got kids that are all grown up and out of school for the most part, right? I think his daughter still in.
Yeah, I think his daughter just graduated this past year, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So then
Yeah,
he can do whatever he wants now with his wife. And to me, yes, there's a grind in the NBA. It is a grind of a regular season. But you know what you do have? You got your off seasons pretty much off.
Off season pretty much off, and depending on your role, you can you come back home at the end of the night.
Yep.
And like you said, I don't think we've seen the last of Jay.
I'd
I
be
believe he
shocked.
had such a great experience
He's
with the
made for the
USA
NBA,
team.
Kurt. Kurt, he has
Yeah,
made his mentality and the way he deals with people, which is the most important. We know he can coach, but the most important thing to me, like you said, is how you connect with people and stars in the NBA. And Jay
I think
Wright
he
is
can
a
do a good job.
master.
I think his experience with USA basketball,
Yeah.
did it for him.
Yep.
I think he probably always wondered, but spending that much time with USA basketball and amongst those players and staff, and then seeing and playing at a high level, coaching at a high level, but just seeing like just the day to day, what it's like. It's
Yep. Yep.
you do your job and that's it. You got your lane and that's it. You do what you do and that's it. Everyone else got their lane, that's just it. You got your time to step up and show your 5-10 minutes to be a star. You step aside the next person, and it's an easier, life. You can kind of move on. And as he's getting older, the stresses he wouldn't have to worry about.
Right.
But I can definitely see him coming on as some kind of maybe some consultant.
That too.
Uh,
Yep. I agree.
some kind of consultant,
Yeah.
to kind of interject some energy, some life, some
And
like a
scratch the
culture shock.
itch. and scratch
Yeah,
the itch a little bit of the NBA without necessarily
mhm,
being there every day. I can see that too. Or
right. And then I think
you
he
know,
might
I just
because
can't
because
see him at the beach every day, all the time, and like doing
I
TV.
can't say
Like he's doing TV and he's great at it, but you're telling me he doesn't look at these guys and like now maybe again in college he talks to them and they say how shitty it is right now having to deal with the portal and NIL, and it makes him feel better about his decision.
yeah. I mean, that's essentially what I think it is. The portal and NIL, there's good that comes from it.
Right.
Um, but as far as like from a competitive standpoint, it makes things a lot harder.
Yeah.
And again, whereas before you had to work at being a recruiter, you don't have to no more. Someone else can recruit for you and say, "Hey, I got this kid here, because I was able to get him NIL deal." And I think of the scenario of like you might not even that kid might not even be on your radar, or the kid might just be highly touted, but you just know what he's just not a good fit for the program. But let's just say someone, big school, big time donor. Hey, I got this kid. We got him.
You got to take him.
What are you going to do?
You're going to take him.
Like
You're going to
you're
take
going
him.
to tell, and then they tell the president, "Hey, I could have had this and not." Like how does that back and forth? And so I think it's just like you said, you invite and it's inviting a lot of other people to get involved in the programs and normally wouldn't, be involved. And depending on their status, probably with the institution, it might hold a little bit more weight. So it's almost like college is becoming like the NBA in a sense of whereas the coaches don't have the power no more.
That's right.
And now it's like the GM, the front offices and all of that like stuff. It's a mirror image, I think it's tones. So hopefully, we'll see what happens, but I don't think we've seen the last of Jay Wright. Um I don't think he'll remain on TV forever. Nah, he can't. Like
He's good
it
at
just
it though.
doesn't
He's
seem
good
right.
at it.
He's good, right? He's good. I like when he's in the beginning he was doing some Villanova games. He kept saying we and us, so it still felt good, to hear that. But I'm sure they was telling him like you can't say that. You can't say we. He was like it was just like he was doing a film session. It was like back
So
in the
good.
day.
So good. It's weird when he interviewed Kyle after that one game. He
Oh yeah,
interviewed him,
yeah. I
and I'm
see
like,
what's
this
up.
is so strange. What are we doing
Yeah.
here?
Unreal, unreal, man. But this was great, man. I love catching up with you,
Likewise.
talking these hoops. Um, you gonna be at the Big East tournament? Like, what's going on? I
I
mean, I
think I'm
know
going to
that's a
go to
little bit of
Big
ways
Ten.
away, but
I
I know
think I'll
you're
go to
away now.
Big Ten this year.
Big Ten.
I think so in Chicago. I may bounce around. I mean, a lot of times I bounce. Last year, what did I do? I did Big East to Big Ten, a day at Big East, a day at Big Ten, and then I went out to Vegas and did the Pac-12 and Mountain West finals. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, honestly, it's the best time of year. I like seeing as many games as I can, and we'll see. We'll see what happens, but hopefully I get to see you in person at some point soon.
No, man, I know. We catch you. When
You got to
definitely
get
you
that
get back in town.
Villanova. Do they still do the Villanova party out there at the Final Four every year?
I believe so. I haven't
You haven't
gone in a
been.
while. I'm sure. I mean, this is a great tradition. I know everyone. When twice I went, people asked like, "Where's the party? Where's the party?" I'm like, "Oh wow."
Everybody
But everyone
knows.
loves the Villanova party, so
Yes.
we'll see. Cal has some big shoes to fill. So, but where's the Final Four at this year?
Houston, not a great spot. Not a great. It's too spread out in Houston.
Yeah, Houston is
Not a
too
good
big
spot.
of a damn city. Like I like Houston, but it's not for that. Not
No,
for that.
no.
For that.
Houston's bad for a Final Four. The only good thing is the weather. That I always said they just announced the sites a few months ago for like the next few years, and Detroit was one of them. And people in Detroit hate me right now because I said it's a terrible site for a Final Four, and everybody's killing me. And I'm like, but you got to understand, you and I are Northeast guys. In late March, early April, what do we want more than anything? To be able to walk outside.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
That's
it.
when you know it's March Madness when the sun is out, the time goes back. Yeah, a little warmth.
I don't want to
Yeah,
be in
you don't want to go
Detroit.
to cold.
Last
Yeah, you don't
last
want to be
time
in
I was in
Detroit.
Detroit, it snowed for the Final Four. I don't
Yeah, you
want
don't
to
want
deal
to be
with
in
that.
Detroit.
I
know,
got
me and
no
Detroit.
desire for Detroit. Give me only
Yeah.
warm weather cities. Give me Vegas. Give me New Orleans. Give me San Antonio. Rotate those three. I'm good.
Right. Right.
That's it. That's
Real
it.
easy.
And they're
Right. I think I
condensed.
did San Antonio one time. I'm not sure if it was for the final. No, I think it was for the regionals. One of the regionals. That's when I first think I saw like Carl Anthony Towns, Kentucky. I don't know. I think they might have played like Notre Dame. I don't know who they played, but Carl Anthony Towns. And I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely number one pick. I was like,
He's talented.
as
He's
he looked
talented.
different in person, I was like, oh, he's really, really, really good.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's crazy, man. But thanks, Jeff, man. I appreciate you being on the show. Looking forward to catching up with you soon. Enjoy your mini vacay.
Thanks, my man.
Enjoy that warm weather for sure,
Got it, my
man. And I actually might be down in South Carolina at the end of this month. So if I am, I'll definitely hit you up. I'll be in Myrtle Beach if so.
All right.
So if you're still in town, I'll definitely reach out to you.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate your
I'll
time.
talk to you soon, man.
Have a good one. Later. Go Cats.